Hello everybody, this video is all about the process of attribution according to Gilbert. So according to Gilbert, attribution happens in 3 stages. First, categorization. In categorization, we're simply identifying what a person is doing. So let's say you saw somebody walk down the hall in a banana costume. Yeah, a banana costume. So categorization is simply you identifying what they're doing. They're walking around in a banana costume. It's not typical. Something that people don't ordinarily do. Categorization. That's step 1. Step 2 is characterization. Now, characterization refers to when we attribute a person's behavior to their character or their disposition. We attribute it to their character. That's why it's called characterization. And we attribute it to their disposition. That's why other models call this a dispositional inference. Okay, so we infer that people are behaving that way due to their disposition. So, you know, in this example of a person running around in a banana costume, we might think, well, that person's, we might think several things. We might think that person's a loon, or we might think that person's a risk taker, or that person's probably a fun guy. In all of these situations, we've characterized the behavior as being due to the person. So we've characterized the reason the person running around in a banana costume is doing that. The reason they're running around in a banana costume is because they're crazy, they're a risk taker, or they're a fun guy. All right, we've assumed that the behavior running around in a banana costume is due to the person's character or to their disposition. All right, their character, saying that a behavior is due to a person's character, it is attributing it to their disposition. It's the same thing. Now, that step from categorization to characterization, Gilbert has argued is automatic. All right, you don't stop and think about it. You just automatically do it. You automatically think that after you've identified what they're doing, you automatically think it's because of them, because of some aspect or some internal quality that they have, something about their disposition. You make an internal attribution. You attribute it to something internal to them. Now, Gilbert says that if we have the time, and if we're motivated to do so, and if we have the ability to do so, we will make a subsequent correction. So, you know, we've seen what they're doing, running around in a banana costume. We've thought, man, that guy's probably a fun guy. And then if we have the time, we might think, and we're motivated to do so, and we have the ability to do so, we might then reconsider and think, maybe he's not running around in that banana costume because he's a fun guy. Maybe he just lost a bet. All right. So now we've corrected for our characterization, and we're now deciding whether or not our original internal attribution is warranted. And if we decide it's not, we might change and make an external attribution. We might attribute it to something outside the person. He lost a bet. So he's not running around in a banana costume because he wants to. He's running around in a banana costume because he has to, because he lost the bet. All right. So we have these 3 steps. Categorization, what are they doing? Characterization, they're doing it because of something about themselves. And correction, are they doing something about themselves, or is it something about the situation? All right. Now, remember that the step that going from that characterization automatically follows categorization. Now, that characterization automatically following categorization has been suggested to be one of the reasons why we experience the correspondence bias, also known, probably more popular, also probably more commonly known as the fundamental attribution error. So we assume that a person's behavior corresponds to their disposition automatically because we automatically characterize it after we categorize it. Now, I've mentioned that in order to characterize, or in order to correct, we have to have the time, motivated, and we have to be motivated to do so, and we have to have the ability to do so. First off, we have to be motivated to do so. If we don't care to correct, we're probably not going to. I mean, when you get cut off in traffic by someone, if you don't care to correct what you think about the person who just cut you off, you're probably going to think they're a jerk. But if you're motivated, let's say you have some moral that makes you think that you shouldn't think poorly of other people. All right. If you have such a moral, then you would be motivated to, well, maybe something's going on. You're motivated to correct. So first you have to be motivated. And then once you're motivated, you still have to have the time to do so. Even if you're motivated to correct for a characterization, if you don't have the time to do it, you can't. And then even if you do have the time, you have to have the ability. All right. In the example of somebody cutting you off in traffic, you probably don't have the ability. All right. Now you might look around and see how, other things going on in traffic, and maybe something in traffic would give you a reason why they behave that way, give you a reason, tell you why they did that instead of they did it just because they're a jerk. But if you don't have knowledge about why they're behaving the way they are, if you don't if you're consumed with something, so somebody's talking to you, or you're having to figure something out, you're trying to look for directions. If something's preventing you from thinking about it, so you don't have the knowledge to think about it, or you don't have the cognitive ability to think about it, because we don't multitask very well. In these situations, you don't have the ability to correct. So even if you're motivated and you have the time, if you don't have the ability to correct, you still won't. So we automatically characterize after we categorize. So what are they doing? They're doing it because of something about them. And then whether we correct or not really depends on whether we are motivated to do so, whether we have the time to do so, and whether we have the ability to do so. So there's Gilbert's 3 stages of the attribution process: categorization, characterization, correction. We've talked about how characterization automatically follows categorization, and because it's automatic, it doesn't depend on mental resources to the same extent. So it's more of an automatic process instead of a controlled process. All right. Whereas correction, because it depends on all these things, motivation, time, ability, it's slightly more it's more controlled. All right. And that, my friends, is it for Gilbert's 3 stages of the attribution process. As usual, if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, or otherwise, rather, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.